Yeah. So we were talking about the chiconin, which is the first phytochemical to be produced on the commercial scale. So in this case, what is chiconin? It's a secondary metabolite produced by the plant Lithospermum erythrorhizon of family Boraginaceae. It is not only produced by this plant, you have few other plants also which produce chiconin. It is a red naphthoquinone pigment. Okay, so it is a perennial herb mainly from the root part. So when they go in for this root culture, they choose these secondary metabolites which are produced by the root of many. So there are so many secondary metabolites which are produced by many plants. It is not that chiconin is produced only from Lithospermum. It is produced by many other plants in many other parts. Okay, some may be produced in the flower, some may be produced in the leaf, but if you want to commercially exploit the production of secondary metabolite through root culture, you have to choose a plant where the chemical is being produced by the root of the plant. So in that case, it becomes very easy to maintain it in the root culture, because as I already told you, root culture yields a higher amount of the secondary metabolite than any other part of the plant. So people, I mean, they chose this plant which excreted the metabolite chiconin from the root part. So since it is a perennial herb, that is another thing. You have to choose a plant which is a perennial herb. That means it is every year throughout the year it is available. Okay, so that kind of plant we can choose. So it has been found to possess a variety of biological activities. Not only it can be used as a food additive, as a colorant, you can use it for wound healing, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, anti-tumor. So it has more pharmaceutical values also, apart from being a food additive. So it can be used for flavor development, fragrances, pigments, dyes, cosmetics, as well as food additives. Food colorant, you can use it as a food colorant. So in this case, it is well documented that it is derived from two precursors. Normally, it has two precursors. It is, each one is originating in a different pathway. So you can use any one of the precursor to enhance the production of chiconin. So the 1,4-hydroxybenzoic acid is one precursor, and another precursor is isoprenoid precursor, that is geranyl diphosphate. So all these people have uh, through research, they have isolated at various point of time during the production, and they have found out what is the compound. So if you know the precursor, you can use a synthetic precursor also. Synthetic precursors are available which you can use as a crude, in the crude form or in the purified form. So they have found out that these two are the precursors. So, and they have also found out the enzyme, that is para-hydroxyl benzoic acid geranyl transferase. This is the enzyme which transfers or transforms geranyl diphosphate to chiconin. This process is called biotransformation. So biotransformation is to how the methodology of transforming the precursor into the final product using biological means. Okay, so either in vivo or in vitro. It can be in vivo or in vitro. Okay, so that is how the precursor is testified. There are a few factors you have to keep in mind while production of chiconin using the root cultures. You have to optimize the medium, you have to optimize the media components, you have to test each and every component of the media and how it is affecting the yield and quality of chiconin. So each and every ingredient is tested, the concentration used, the type of the ingredient, and the concentration of the ingredient. Each ingredient is tested for the quality and quantity of chiconin. Again, phytohormones, growth regulators, pH is tested, temperature is tested. At a low temperature and the high temperature, it will be tested how it is affecting the yield. Aeration methodology, agitation, light, all these are abiotic factors which are important for production of chiconin. So growth medium, they had made use of so many media they have tested. Okay, they have tested so many auxin and kinetin combination, and you need two kinds of media, preferably, because one is growth medium. Growth medium is used for production of root, hairy root. So heavy production of hairy root cells, that you need the growth medium. So growth medium will have more of carbohydrate, sugar, more of sugar compounds, because you need biomass. If you don't have biomass, you will not get the required amount of quantity of the secondary metabolite. So to produce higher biomass, you need a growth medium which will contain sucrose, chiefly sugars. So they will optimize different sugars. They will see with the glucose what is the biomass yield, with sucrose what is the biomass yield, with fructose what is the yield. So they will optimize the growth medium. Then after the growth is, I mean, after you have got a sustainable growth of cells, root cells, you have to shift the cell suspension to a production medium. The production medium will not have glucose or sugars in high amounts. They will have in very low amounts, because if you increase the glucose, sucrose, again cell growth only will happen. Secondary metabolite will not be produced, because secondary metabolite is produced only after the cell, the primary growth stops. Okay, so when it enters the stationary phase only, secondary metabolites are produced. So you have to reduce the growth of the cell, and you have to promote the production of secondary metabolite. So you have to make use of another medium called production medium, which will have elicitors and precursors which are added to the medium. The glucose sugar amount will be reduced, but you will add precursors and elicitors. So you have so many elicitors available. So for Shikonin, they have seen calcium ions as a elicitor. They have isolated, they have used a crude elicitor extracted from Aspergillus oryzae. So this is specific for Shikonin. For fungal elicitation, they have seen it provides a rather specific technique for stimulating secondary metabolism. Okay, so which is not dependent upon the reduction of culture growth rate. Even if the biomass is less, fungal elicitors enhance the production of the secondary metabolite, even if the quantity of the cell is less. Okay, so by adding elicitors, you can also have cell wall constituents of microorganisms as elicitors. You can have enzymes as elicitors. You can have heavy metals as elicitors. There are so many elicitors available, which can increase the yield of the metabolite. So in production medium, it will be precursors and elicitors which are added to enhance the production of secondary metabolites. So otherwise, temperature, oxygen, light, all parameters you have to examine. 17 to 25 is normally used for induction of root calli, and then pH is anywhere between 5 and 6 before autoclaving, because after autoclaving slight reduction will be seen. Okay, high cell density culture, you need a particular cell density, number of cells, you need a minimum number of cells you need for the production of secondary metabolite, that you have to optimize. So they have seen that 75 grams per liter of cell mass you need for a higher production of Shikonin. So you need high cell density cultures. Then absorption of products, you have to add active charcoal in the medium, which can stimulate the yield. And then selection of high producing strains. This is where somaclonal variants play a major role. So you can produce variants of the particular cell culture. They are called somaclonal variants, and you can test each variant for the production of high quantity of secondary metabolites. So you can use high producing strains, because normally the physiological characters was not very uniform. Sometimes they produce more, some variants produce less, some some cells they aggregate faster. Even if you are going to subject them to root culture, the aggregation of cells is faster. Some of them aggregate slowly or with poor quality. So in that case, you have all those characters also affecting the production of secondary metabolite. Then addition of precursors, as I already told you. So for example, rosmarinic acid production, phenylalanine is a precursor. So these are also used. That's why I told you biotransformation happens when the precursor is converted to the secondary metabolite using the enzyme, where many secondary metabolites are, all the secondary metabolites produced by the cell culture mechanism is called biotransformation only, because you are adding precursor and boosting up the production of secondary metabolites. So this is called biotransformation. The reaction is called biotransformation. So this is the protocol. You have two stages culture system. First stage, cells of high producing strain. They have used M18 strain, was propagated in a growth medium. They have used MG5 medium, modified LS medium. So they will not produce chiconin. The cells will only grow. In this medium, the cells will grow to maximum density. So they used 200-liter volume. For 9 days, they cultured. They allowed the cells to grow. The second stage, the cells from the growth medium were transferred to the M9 medium, which is a production medium. It's chiconin production medium. So the components of this M9 medium are more suitable for chiconin production, not for cell growth. Okay, and chiconin yield also increased when both the initial cell density, medium concentration were doubled. So production medium, if you double the concentration, definitely the production of chiconin will also double, because you add more precursors will be added. So the volume of the culture will be 750 liters. So growth medium will be 200-liter volume. Production medium will have 750 liters. So you need a large tanks. You have to culture for 14 days. So concentration of dissolved oxygen is very important. It was adjusted to 6.4 and 6 parts per million, and for the first and the second stage. And cells of the stock culture were grown in the fermenters, okay, and for cell growth, MG5 medium, incubated for 9 days, and then transferred to the filtering apparatus to remove the cells. You have to separate the medium from the cell. So first stage kapra, they will filter the medium, and then the production medium was poured into the tank. So first tank, it was filled with growth medium. After growing for 9 days, the medium was filtered and the tank was filled with the production medium, and the cells were inoculated into the cells were pumped into the second tank for chiconin production. So after incubating the cells for 14 days in the second tank, the pigmented cells were harvested by filtering of the medium. You have to remove the cells. So then the medium has the chiconin. Okay, medium has the chiconin. So the medium was then extracted and purified with N-hexane. It's an organic solvent, a non-polar solvent. So pigments are for non-polar pigments. Okay, they are solubilized in, because you have to solubilize the pigment. You have to remove the pigment from the medium. So you have to make use of a organic solvent. So when you treat the cells with N-hexane and subsequently hydrolyze it with 2% KOH, that means you increase the pH. Okay, I mean, you have to mix it with N-hexane and increase the pH, 2% KOH. You can crystallize it, you can purify it. So purification and extraction is done by simultaneously. Purification and extraction, extraction and purification is done in the same organic solvent itself. So you are treating the medium, I mean cells, the medium with N-hexane. Why the cell? Now sometimes in endogenously also this chiconin will be produced inside the cells also. So to remove the chiconin which is there inside the cells, you treat the whole thing with N-hexane, and then subsequently hydrolyze the cells. So we are breaking open the cells with 2% KOH, and then the chiconin is recrystallized to give the pure chiconin. So this is the flow chart for the production of chiconin, which says this is the growth medium, this is the production medium. So in this case, you can see why a red color chiconin being produced. Okay, so here it will be white in color. When you feed it to the production medium, it will be white in color. When you allow the production medium to run for 14 days, in the end you will get red color filtrate, which can be extracted and purified. So similarly, you have to see for alkaloids. So we'll just see basically what are alkaloids. They are commonly nitrogenous compounds of plant origin. which are very, very active physiologically. They are organic nitrogenous compound. You say alkaloids are organic nitrogenous compounds. They are bitter in taste. Okay, they are derived from amino acids: phenylalanine, tyrosine, tryptophan, histidine, okay, lysine, ornithine are precursors for various alkaloids. So they are normally bitter. So aromatic amino acids, tyrosine, tryptophan, aromatic amino acid, they they are the precursors for many of the alkaloids. So alkaloids form salts with mercury, gold, and other heavy metals. It is used for extracting and purifying the alcohols. So they are insoluble in water. Okay, but the salts formed with acids are usually soluble. That is why they are treated with salts to make them soluble in water. Okay, because only when they are soluble in water they can be used as drugs, pharmaceutical drugs. Then most are crystalline solids, although few are amorphous. And free alkaloids are usually soluble in polar solvents like ether and chloroform. And some alkaloids are liquid. Okay, because of lack of oxygen in their molecule, some of them are in the liquid form. Some examples are nicotine and conine. They are actually the drug. They are used as drugs. Sources, mostly these plants are the sources: Leguminaceae, Papaver Ranunculaceae, Rubiaceae, Solanaceae, and Barbidaceae. Okay, and uses of alkaloids in plants, they are used as defense mechanism chiefly, and they are phytoremediation also. They are used for phytoremediation, where the end products of detoxification reaction, they lock up a metabolite. For example, a heavy metal, if a plant is growing in a soil with rich in heavy metal, the plant produces alkaloids which lock up the heavy metal and thus protects the plant from the effect of the heavy metal. So that is one example. They also used for regulating growth factors. Okay, and they are actually nitrogenous compounds, so they can be used as a storage storehouse of nitrogenous. Whenever there is a starvation period, whenever there is a nitrogen deficient period for the plant, these alkaloids are used as reservoirs of nitrogen. Just like lack of glucose, glycogen from our body supplies the reserve glucose whenever it is required. Just like that, in plants, the alkaloids supply nitrogen whenever the plant is not able to assimilate nitrogen. Okay, so these are the some of the pharmaceutical uses of alkaloids. They can be used as analgesic, morphine, codeine, that is analgesic, painkillers. Okay, narcotics. Most of the alkaloids, most of the narcotics are alkaloid substances. And anti-malarial, quinine is a very famous alkaloid which is used as an anti-malarial drug. Even now it is being used. This is the only anti-malarial drug which is available throughout the world. Antipyretic, fever reducing agents, anti-cancer, atropine, belladonna. Okay, it has induces hallucinogens, so it can be used. It's very widely used as narcotic. Anti-inflammatory, reduces swellings. Okay, and then miotics, ephedrine rises in BP, bronchodilator. Okay, for asthmatic patients, they can use. And then reserpine, the produce fall in excessive hypertension. That is, if you have high BP, you can use reserpine, which is an alkaloid. This is all based on doctors, clinicians' prescription, but it is available. All these alkaloids and its pharmaceutical uses are being exploited commercially. Then some insecticides are there. What are these insecticides? Mostly they are from plants. Okay, they produce defense compounds called allomones. Okay, so these allomones are against insects, pests. So plant derived insecticides have been largely replaced by synthetic materials, but the plant based insecticides are biodegradable. So selectivity is needed. Compounds are toxic to insects but non toxic to mammals. Mostly they are preferred. So some examples I have given: rotenoids. This is from this false indigo bush, Amorpha fruticosa, Fabaceae member. They are Tephrusia. Okay, Tephrusia is very common. Tephrusia purpurea. They produce rotenons. Commercially, rotenoids are isolated from roots of Derris elliptica, and these compounds are isolated by grinding the plant, extracting with solvents such as hexane or chloroform. They are all oil soluble or lipids. Okay, they make up 1 to 20% of the roots. And pyrethrin is very common, that you which you find in mosquito coils and mosquito anti, which you use for mortine and all that mosquito repellents. All these are pyrethrins from Asteraceae chrysanthemum. Okay, so this pyrethrin comes from the genus Chrysanthemum. All plants of mostly Asteraceae members, Compositae members. Very, very old insecticide it is. Okay, and it's a weed, so you don't need much to grow them. So they grow very, very luxuriantly. They grow. So they are used as as mosquito repellent agents. Okay, tobacco, Nicotiana tabacum, is again a very good source of insecticide. Normal plant diseases, snails and caterpillars can be prevented. Their growth can be prevented by just making a what to say, by taking some tobacco leaves and boiling in water and using that water to spray against insecticides. So tobacco wastes are all often extracted and used as a source of nicotine. Nicotine is effective against aphids which eat leaves. Anti-feedants, that is repellents actually. They prevent the insect feeding on the plant. They don't kill the insect, but they are anti-feedants. The most common anti-feedant is the neem seed. Okay, Azadirachta indica. Only one is available commercially. So active compound is azadirachtin. It is structurally modified triterpene compound. It's a terpenoid compound. So this is a on the whole, how the hairy root is being used for commercial exploitation of. This is just a flow chart which you can see. Okay, so I have shown you how chiconin is being produced. So I would like two of you to come volunteer yourself for production of one alkaloid and one insecticide. Okay, so I will send you the papers. You just go through the papers and produce. I mean, you have to what to say? You have to give a seminar or a